Welcome to Lunch with Legacy Leaders, a weekly talk show with local and national thought leaders on issues impacting the Black community. Now introducing our host, Miss Ann Marie Sorrell.
Good afternoon and welcome to Lunch with Legacy Leaders. Thank you so much for joining us. I am your host, Ann Marie Sorrell, President and CEO of the Mosaic Group. I want to first thank our sponsors, the Florida Lottery and Florida Power and Light, for making this broadcast possible. Today we have a very special guest. Some of you know him as a model, an actor, yogi, or an all-around great friend to many in South Florida. But today, he is wearing the hat as the president and CEO of the MiamiDade Chamber of Commerce. Allow me to welcome Mr. Gordon Eric Knowles.
Hey, how are you, my friend?
I'm great. You know, I forgot to say, and one of the best dressed men in South Florida.
Well, Ann Marie, I dressed up for you today because this is the first time I've had on a bow tie since March the 7th.
Oh, wow. Well, if you're like me, I'm just thinking all my clothes are going to be new again. But thanks to Lunch with Legacy Leaders, I get to wear some of them.
There you go.
Well, you know, so for those who don't know you, and I don't think it's many people who don't, because we've seen you either in commercials or we've seen you doing, yoga, or we've seen you just doing the great work of the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce, which is what we're going to talk about today. So I just want to read your bio to those who may not be familiar with you, Eric. And by the way, it confuses some of us because we're like, is it Gordon or is it Eric?
Well, that's the thing. It is both.
Okay. Well, I call you Eric.
There you go. We're Eric today.
Okay, so Gordon Eric Knowles currently holds the position of President and CEO of the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce and serves as the fifth sitting president. Established in 1974, it is the oldest chamber in the state of Florida that focuses and advocates for Black businesses, minorities, and women. Prior to Eric's tenure as the president of the chamber, he served in several capacities within the Miami Dolphins and Sun Life Stadium, which is now is it now Hard Rock Stadium? Yes. Organization for 15 years. Eric began his career in sports as the director of community relations, which also included media and public relations, senior director of guest services, senior director of operations for Sun Life Stadium, and senior director of government affairs. I think you pretty much held every position other than being a coach of a team, it seems like. Throughout his career, Eric has served on several nonprofit boards in South Florida. Currently, Eric serves as a board member and past chairman of the Thelma Gibson Health Initiative, board member of the Miami-Dade Beacon Council, board member of the Greater Miami Conventions and Visitors Bureau, board member of the Business Assistance Center, BAC, board member of Access Florida, a member of 100 Black Men of South Florida, and the 5,000 Role Models of Excellence program. Eric attended Miami-Dade Community College and Florida International University, where he received an AA and a BS degree in apparel management. Oh, no wonder you dress so well. Eric served in the U.S. Army 82nd Airborne Division. Thank you for serving our country, sir. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And your bio was much longer than that, but I had to cut it down a little bit. So let's get right to our questions. Please give us a little background about the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce and what is happening now with the chamber.
Oh, as you said, the chamber has been around since 1974, and it was formed. When we think about what's happening today in our society, when we think about COVID-19 and how it impacts our community from an economic perspective as well as a health perspective, when you think about George Floyd and what has happened there, back in 1974, the chamber was formed because of the lack of opportunity, lack of diversity within. There is the Greater Miami Chamber that has been around for over 100 plus years, and Black businesses were not inclusive, were not included in that process. So several businessmen, including T. Willard Fair, who runs the Urban League here today, was a part of that formation. David Fincher, who was a former policeman who started a security company, security business. He was the first president. He was the one who actually started the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce. So because of the lack of opportunity, diversity, that is why it was formed. And here today, we're still fighting for those opportunities and those disparities that continue to plague us. So I've been the president for now 6 years. My good friend Bill Diggs was the president previous to me, and Dorothy Baker, who ran the chamber for at least 20 plus years, was well known in the community running the chamber. And again, it's all about fighting for opportunity. We advocate for Black business, minority, and women. Our mission is to create opportunities for economic and social transformation in our community.
Absolutely. So with a global pandemic, which you alluded to a little bit, that has wreaked havoc on our local, national, and global economies, what impacts have you seen with your members and Black-owned business as a whole in Miami-Dade County and South Florida?
Well, it's been tough. It's been devastating in some cases. People are going out of business across the board. And then there are those who are pivoting and understanding that they have to change their business model in order to keep moving forward. The one thing that we have been doing as a chamber is continuing to try to provide information to help those businesses stay afloat with the PPP program, with the EIDL program, with many different programs like Tools for Change has come out with Tools for Change, Partners for Self-Employment. They have a $25,000 grant program that they're providing to those businesses that did not get PPP for whatever reason. Career Source South Florida just put out another program, a $10,000 grant for businesses to help them. So that's what we're doing. We're trying to help push this information from a financial perspective to help those businesses survive. We also have a microloan program, which we reduced our percentage rate from 8% to 4% to help those businesses as well. And our programs, we loan from $5,000 up to $25,000. So when we talk about, like I said, Tools for Change in those programs, those are grants, but you have to have the back of your house together. And that's been the biggest problem in our community when it comes to them surviving in this process. Because just realize, Ann Marie, there's still $134 billion sitting at the federal government right now, waiting for people to apply for PPP. They just extended, it was ending on the June 30th, but they just extended it through August, the end of August. But wow, because of our businesses not having the back of their house together, not having their account, not having an accountant, not having a lawyer, etc., they're not able to apply.
And that is definitely something that I've seen across the board. And I remember when this crisis first hit, and I remember, getting on live and telling people, please get your house in order, because when the recovery funds come down, you want to be ready because it's going to move quickly. And so it's imperative, and it's not too late for anyone that's out there listening that has a business that has not received PPP. It's not too late to get an accountant. It's worth it, guys. Get an accountant, get your back end, get your financials in order. If you haven't filed those taxes, file those taxes so that you have those tax returns. It's not that they're asking for a lot. It's just that what they are asking for, you have to be ready and have it in place. And even for the local dollars, you still have to have that information in place.
Absolutely. Not just about the federal dollars, to your point. Those dollars that I spoke about with Legacy Magazine, Tools for Change, etc., you have to have your back of the house together.
Absolutely. Now, let me ask you, is the chamber doing any workshops or any seminars to help people get the back of their house together, since there is still funding available, and now that it's been extended for another almost 2 months? Is there any, are there any programs that you have coming up, or?
Well, we're always doing different technical workshops, but what we do, we send those businesses to the experts. For instance, losing my train of thought here for a second, but the Beacon Council. The Beacon Council has what's called bizhelp.miami, BIZ help.miami. And they have a plethora of tools and resources that you can go to access and get that help. And they're actually helping businesses. And there are some organizations that they have within this process to help you move forward with applying for these loans or grants.
Absolutely. Now, I'll encourage anyone out there that still needs technical assistance. Also, check out score.org. I know SCORE has partnered with a lot of organizations, including like the city of Hollandale Beach and several other cities, to offer these technical assistance trainings and webinars. And then there's the SBDCs as well. So
right. I want to say the SBDCs at FIU. I'm not sure if Florida Atlantic has one, but I know FIU has one. So they do this for free.
Absolutely. They do it for free. And there are other programs out there. Urban League, I believe, has some technical assistance programs as well. So just for our listeners. So we kind of went through this. What steps can business owners take to recover and sustain themselves through these uncertain times? Do you want to add on what we've already discussed?
Well, again, it's about pivoting. And it may be, I remember having a conversation when all of this first started with Congresswoman Wilson. And one of the things that she said, you may have to go out and get a job in order to, for instance, if you're a mom and pop or small business, husband and wife, or a family that's running that business, somebody may have to go out and actually find a job to make sure that you keep your doors open, at least your business stays open until you recover. So I know that's not something a lot of people want to do, because that's why you went into business, so you wouldn't have to have a job. But hard times means you got to make hard decisions. So that is one thing. But again, pay attention. I would say even join a chamber. When this first started, we were on every day doing what you and I are doing right now. Every day at 4 o'clock, bringing information to our members and to the business community. We had the SBA on, Althea Harris, who is one of the managers over at SBA, helping guide you through the whole PPP program, what you needed to do. And now we meet twice a week. We meet on Tuesdays and Fridays at 4 o'clock to bring information and to share information with other businesses. You may be going through something that someone else may already have the answer to. Mm-hmm. So basically, it's a meetup every Tuesday and every Friday that we share information amongst one another. And then we're also bringing in professionals, Dr. Delvina Thomas, who's a psychiatrist. The whole mental health issue that's going on with this COVID, people not knowing what's going to happen tomorrow. People, again, we're talking about a lot of individuals who are still waiting on unemployment. How are you dealing with that mentally? So we try to bring that information. One of our members, Lex, he has a marketing company, and he's talking about how he's pivoting a lot of the things that he's doing. You know how they have a lot of the graduations happen lately. And so he's doing the drive-by with the big screen and celebrating people's lives and graduations and marriages. So it's how do you pivot during these times?
Absolutely. And those are really great points. And I do want to go back to one of your first ones about getting a job. I know it doesn't sound popular, but I remember during the recession, I ended up having to, go and teach as an adjunct professor just to, to keep things afloat. So that happens. And I do want to also add to that, if you don't mind, Eric, one of the pointers in all the webinars that I'm on that stood out to me was one person said one tip that came from a guy who had helped start and grow, several multi-million and billion-dollar companies, was the key is to never run out of money. True. And so there are people who are still hesitant about accepting a loan, who are hesitant about accepting the SBA loans. And I say, if the money is there, go ahead and apply for it and accept it, because you don't have to repay it for 12 months. And then once the repayment starts, it's a 3.75, I believe, percent interest rate.
And Marie, the EIDL paid back over 30 years.
Yes.
That particular one. So agreeing to what you're saying, One of our members on these daily calls that we were talking about, they weren't going to apply for EIDL. You know, their business, they're doing pretty good. But after cajoling and pushing, to your point, this is basically free money at 1%, up to $150,000 that you could take 30 years to pay back. Obviously, if you're running your business and you're doing what you're supposed to do, you'll pay it back way before then. But this is money to help you shore up your business. And cash, as they say, cash is king.
Absolutely. Don't run out of money. I accepted that $150,000 loan.
There you go.
Because my goal is not to run out of money and to be able to retain my staff and grow my staff as well. So definitely great advice. So the recent death of George Floyd, among others, have sparked a shift in diversity and anti-racism initiatives. Many organizations have made statements in support of Black Lives Matter and standing up against racism. Is this enough? Number one. And if not, what else should the private sector and public sector organizations be doing to truly make a change and impact, particularly as it relates to Black-owned businesses and Black prosperity?
Wow. No, it's not enough. There's a lot of work to be done. As you see, and as you well know, there is a lot of movement in large corporations stepping up and saying that Black Lives Matter. Anywhere, I just had a conversation last week with Bank of America, and from two perspectives, as the chamber, and another perspective that we're going to talk about in a little while. But they are saying they are being very succinct, and they're being very direct about supporting Black businesses, Black communities. This, there were CRA dollars, and there are CRA dollars that banks provide to communities, but this is unprecedented in what these companies are doing now. Chase Bank has a program, and I'm trying to remember the name of it, and I'll tell you in a minute. But Chase has a program in which they are supporting Black communities as well. So there are a lot of corporate organizations, even when we think about our Black philanthropists. I believe Michael Jordan has pledged $100 million. Magic Johnson, another $100 million to our communities. So what does that mean moving forward? That question is, are they sincere? And what is it that they're going to do besides, as we have heard in the past, a lot of lip service? Where are those dollars going to go? Our community, when it comes to economics, our community hurts across the board. As I say, we've had a pandemic since 1619, as when they said we didn't land on Plymouth Rock landed on us. And right. So therefore, we've had health issues, we've had economic issues, we've had housing issues. So all of those things need to be addressed and corrected across the board. So these organizations need to step up and put policies in place, and even the government, whether it's county, whether it's local municipalities, the state and the federal government, needs to put in policies that address these systemic issues that have plagued our community. It's going to take those of us, you, myself, others, leaders in our community, to come together with a plan that tells them what they need to do. That's the other thing. They can talk about what they want to do, but we have to let them know what needs to be done.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And one of the things that I had been saying, especially when it comes to large corporate companies, as well as even our government entities, we've seen the disparity studies all through South Florida, is the contracting. Your supply for the corporation is your supply chain. How much of your supply chain actually is contracted with Black-owned businesses?
Well, I fight all the time. you talk about the disparity in Dade County. Black businesses receive less than 2% of government contracts. The school board, it was the same way. The school board has been making impact in Miami-Dade County and changing that conversation, but there's still a lot of work to be done. As a matter of fact, I was on a call with the school board last week, and they opened it up to the community to address how they have either engaged or haven't engaged with them, and how they can do better to engage the Black business community. But going back to the county, I mean, it's appalling that the disparity study that was done back in 2012 wasn't accepted because information wasn't gathered to determine a disparity. So now we are sitting in flux waiting for information to be gathered to tell us something we already know. And so with that, when we talk about, I say, the perfect storm when it comes to COVID-19 and George Floyd, and the rest of the world now seeing how the Black community has been impacted systematically from a pandemic that, as I said, has been on top of us. Now we shouldn't have to go through any studies. You know, Miami-Dade County just received $475 million from the pandemic. Broward, I believe, received about $380 million. Palm Beach County received about $280 million. And this is happening all across the United States. When it's said, we say that we are about 20% of the population in Miami-Dade County. We should be receiving 20% of that money.
Absolutely.
That's the reality of it. So those are the things that we have to fight together. We fight for together, and we have to come together as a unified voice to make that happen. I can't do it alone as the Miami-Dade Chamber. You can't do it alone as Ann Marie Sorrell and Mosaic Group, Legacy Magazine, the Urban League of Broward County, Urban League of Dade, Palm Beach County. We all have to come together with our voices to demand what we deserve.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And I definitely have not heard anyone talking about all this windfall of money that has come to our various counties and how it's being distributed and who's holding who accountable for that to ensure that our communities are receiving a representative share of that money, whether it's through, like you said, the housing resources or business funding, whatever that funding is being divvied up for, who is at the table ensuring that those funds are being dispersed appropriately.
Yeah, and that's where we're.
Absolutely, I agree. So next month, well, you recently launched the South Florida Black Prosperity Alliance. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Can you please share with us what it's about and how others can get involved?
Absolutely. I want to go back to what I was saying about Chase. It's called the Chase Advancing Black Pathways Initiative.
Okay.
So they're being direct in what they're saying. So now we have to step up and make sure that they advance those pathways.
Absolutely.
The South Florida Black Prosperity Alliance. How it came, it was born from this whole thing about COVID-19 and the fact that a lot of our businesses are not going to receive PPP or EIDL because they didn't have their back of the house together, or whatever the reason is. That when it first came out, we know that the big large corporations were the ones receiving all the dollars, because the reason they were receiving all the dollars because they had CPAs, they had accountants, they had attorneys. And when that money came down, all they had to do was push a button. They were already ready to go. We're still scrambling, trying to figure out what's happening, when did it happen, and how can we get involved. So with that, there were several groups, the NAACP, the Meek Foundation, the Chamber, and others had come together to see how we could put together a pool of money to support these businesses. How could we grow couple $100,000 to support these small businesses that did not qualify, for whatever reason, did not receive any money. With that happening, at the same time, Leroy Jones with NANA and Tools for Change, he, along with the chamber and some other groups, a Puerto Rican chamber, had come together to have a conversation with Senator Rubio to ask him, along with Commissioner Bovo, requesting $50 million from the federal government to address our systemic issues. So, and then along with that, myself, along with Baron Channer, along with Daryl Hosendorf, Gypsy Metalis, and Fabiola Florenville, we were working on what had already been done when Commissioner Monestein had put together the State of Black Miami, of Miami-Dade County. And that was like 2 or 3 years ago. So we had come together to keep that mission, that movement going forward. So when COVID hit, I made a decision to bring us all together. And not just us here in Miami-Dade County. This is an issue across Broward, and Palm Beach County as well. So with that, I reached out to Shahiwa with the Broward Black Chamber, Frank Hayden with the Palm Beach Black Chamber, and said, we need to come together. Bringing in Leroy Jones, bringing in the NAACP and others. And we started brainstorming. And through that process, we came up with the name, the South Florida Black Prosperity Alliance, addressing the systemic issues in our community. A press release came out about 3 weeks ago. We're looking at a press conference coming up very shortly with the fact that August is Small Black Business Month. But we're not just looking at business. We're looking at education. We're looking at youth. We're looking at health issues. We're looking at housing issues. All of those things that we have been shortchanged throughout history. So really, that's what the South Florida Black Prosperity Alliance, we want every Black organization to be a part of this so we can have one united voice addressing all that needs to be addressed in our community.
Absolutely. I love it. This is so overdue for our community, locally, of course, and definitely nationally. And, you know, I'm glad you brought up, because August is National Black Business Month, and we've been celebrating National Black Business Month here in South Florida for quite some time. I've been, hosting the event for the last 10 years, and you've been a part of it. Thank you for always supporting. And next month we will be hosting our 10th annual, and we changed the name this year to the National Black Economic Conference. So we hope that the Alliance will definitely be a big part of the conference. Absolutely. Now, with it being said, because a lot of people still don't know about National Black Business Month, and the whole premise of it is that there's 31 days and there are 31 ways to support Black-owned businesses. And it's not just empowering ourselves to do business within our community, but it's also to empower others to spend money with our businesses. Why is this important?
Well, again, I say it's a perfect storm when I go back to COVID-19, and George Floyd. You've never seen so many mainstream businesses or individuals coming on board wanting to support Black business. And one thing I will say, Ann Marie, is that, we say August is, supporting Black business. It needs 31 days. It needs to be 365 days.
365, I agree.
Okay, so that is the message that we need to be putting out this August and every day, that we need to support Black business. But at the same time, I will also say that we as Black business persons, owners, women, men, need to understand that business is business. And we talk about those who were not able to participate in the PPP. They did not have their business in order. It's not about playing business. It's a hobby if you don't have your business in order. It's okay to have a hobby and say that's what you're doing. It's a hobby. But we have to get our business in order. And that's the one thing from the chamber, providing technical assistance, providing information to help you scale your business. That's the other thing. We need to scale our businesses. How do I help you take your 20-seat restaurant to a 40-seat restaurant, to a 100-seat restaurant? How do I take it to that you have a restaurant in Miami-Dade County, or 2 restaurants in Miami-Dade County and 2 restaurants in Broward? How do you grow? So that's the one thing that we need to do. Back to the point of others, their eyes have been open, their ears have been open. We just have to provide the service when they arrive at our door. And to me, that's important. That's where we fall short so much, so many times, that we don't have our house clean when people come to either garner or buy our service. Even though, and I will say, we have a lot of great businesses, so we need to support those businesses and help those that don't have their act together get their act together.
Absolutely. Now, does one have to have their business in Miami-Dade County to join the Miami-Dade County Chamber of Commerce?
No, not at all. We have a lot of members, many members who are in Broward, who are in Palm Beach County as well. So we invite all Black businesses to join the Miami-Dade Chamber. And I'll say this at the same time, as I'm supporting the Broward Black Chamber, I say that you should also be a member of the Broward Black Chamber and the Palm Beach Black Chamber as well. And so we have members, Ann McNeil. Ann McNeil lives in Palm Beach, does business she's a MCO construction. She does business in Palm Beach. Well, Ann McNeil does business all over the United States.
Everywhere. And everywhere.
And everywhere. And is a big supporter of the chamber. So no, you don't have to be a resident or have your business in Miami-Dade County. And what's happening across the counties is that you're having reciprocal certifications. For instance, with the school board, if you're certified in Miami-Dade County, you can also be certified in Broward County as well. There's reciprocal certifications going on, and I believe that is beginning to happen. If it already hasn't happened with the counties as well.
Do you think that the 3 chambers maybe could do like a nice 3-chamber package for the month of August? Just a thought.
Sounds like a good idea. We can talk about that.
It'll increase membership to all 3 chambers at the same time.
Absolutely.
And it'll be a great incentive.
Good thing to think about. I believe in coalescing. I believe in looking at opportunities, and I am a big believer in how do we work together. I'm not a outlier that thinks that, it's only me. It's all about me. It's about how do we work together? How do we grow together?
I would commit to promoting that package for all 3 of you.
Absolutely. And one thing I want to ask you, and when we talk about the South Florida Black Prosperity Alliance, I need minds and brains like you to be in that room as well, from a marketing, from all the expertise that you bring to the table. We do need to enlist more Browardites into this program. I know Shahiwa, I tell you, she is a dynamo, and she does a lot on her own, but we need to bring some more folks from Broward into this project. We need to bring more folks in from Palm Beach as well, and we need to grow this. And who knows, we could take it through the state, but right now we want to focus on South Florida.
Well, if you're asking me, will I be involved? Absolutely. Count me in.
Thank you very much.
And this is recorded.
It is recorded.
So you have definitely given quite a few nuggets here today. I just want to know, for those businesses who are just starting out, those businesses who've been around for a while and they're just trying to get through this, and those people who are thinking about starting a business. We have 2 quarters left in this year, and it's been a pretty crazy year as we see. What type of additional nuggets and advice can you give to business owners out in our community?
Well, educate yourself as much as you can about the business that you want to be in. Read, go and learn. I know as you said, I studied merchandising when I was in school. I wanted to be a buyer. I worked in retail while I was in college, but after college, I didn't pursue the career. The one thing that we used to do is basically secret shop other stores. You have to know what the competition is, understand and know who your competition is, and learn from your competition. Know that you don't have all the answers. Surround yourself with people who are smarter than you. Wayne Huizinga. I work for Wayne Huizinga. Okay, you said I work for the Dolphins. Wayne Huizinga was the only individual that took 3 businesses to Fortune 500. Blockbuster, Waste Management, and what's the car company?
AutoNation.
AutoNation. That was Wayne Huizinga. But Wayne will tell you he didn't do it by himself. He surrounded himself with bright individuals that helped grow his business. The stadium, when I worked there, my boss was the president was Bruce Schulze. We brought to Wayne, from doing business at the stadium, we brought to Wayne, and Wayne didn't run the stadium. Bruce ran the stadium, I ran the stadium, and others ran the stadium. We brought $25+ million into Wayne's coffers every year. Okay, that was profit. So it's surrounding yourself with bright individuals, having some mentors, having a advisory board, people that you can go to and glean information and glean whatever you can to help grow your business.
Thank you for that. So 2 things that I want our audience to get from you. 1, how does one learn more about the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce? And 2, how does one learn more about the South Florida Black Prosperity Alliance?
Well, the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce, you can go to www.m-d as in David, cc.org. That's our website. Our number is 305-751-8648. The South Florida Black Prosperity Alliance, we're actually in the process of building the website. So we'll be, hopefully in the next week or so, we will have the website up. But you can come to you can send me an email at g.ericknowles, there's my name, g.ericknowles@gmail.com, or you can call my cell at 954-445-1226 if you want to get more information about the Prosperity Alliance.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, Gordon Eric Knowles. My good friend, it's always great speaking with you. You're just such a wealth of knowledge and information, and we thank you so much for all that you do in the community. Keep up the great work, and please let myself as an individual, as well as Legacy MIA Media Group, know how we can continue to support you.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll leave you with this. You can join me on Saturday morning for yoga at 8 o'clock on Facebook or Instagram.
You know, I be trying to get up there early on Saturday.
No, trust me, sometimes it's hard for me after a Friday night, Ann Marie, because you got to relax a little bit. Because I tell you, these Zooms,
Yes.
It's back to back to back, because now we don't have to jump in a car to go to a meeting. So you'll have a Zoom at 11. You'll have another one at 12, 12:30. You'll have another one at 2 o'clock. So you're just back to back. Whereas when we were, I guess, really in a normal way of living, you would have a break. You jump in your car and drive to wherever you're driving to. You have lunch. You could have a normal conversation. But so my point I was making, sometimes at 5 o'clock on Friday, and see, I do a Zoom at 4 o'clock with the chamber membership, and sometimes we call it happy hour. So bring whatever you're drinking on Friday, and so we could relax and have that conversation. But then I get up and get on the mat on Saturday morning. So I invite you to join me on Saturday morning. But I've been threatening to do some evening classes as well. But even with that, like I said, I'm Zooming all day, and at 6 o'clock, now I got to jump on the mat. It's not that easy.
We'll try to join you at 8 a.m. I won't promise, but one of these Saturdays, right. I will try to join you at 8 a.m. But for all of our other listeners, please join Eric Knowles on Saturday. I see the pictures, I see some of the videos, and I'm like, man, that looks amazing. So, so please join Eric Knowles on Saturday. Next week, we will be joined by another special guest, Ms. Connie Kennard, who is the Vice President of Multicultural Tourism and Development for the Greater Miami Conventions and Visitors Bureau. As we know, hospitality and tourism has been hit hard. So we would definitely can't wait to hear from her. And if you have not checked out the current issue of Legacy magazine, which is Legacy Miami in South Florida, the political issue is out. Please check that out at MiamiDade.com. It's a great way for you to learn about Black candidates that are running for elections, for the August election and the November election in this issue. It's a great way to get to know your candidates throughout South Florida. And if you are under the age of 40, it's not too late to be nominated or to nominate someone who's a mover or shaker. Nominations are open, and again, you can visit MIA Media Group for that information. Thank you so much again, Eric, for joining us this afternoon. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and please be sure to share this video far and wide, and also mark your calendars. Put it on your calendar. It's a reoccurring weekly lunch with us. Well, hopefully you're having your own lunch. So mark your calendars, and we'll see you next Thursday at noon.
Thank you so much.